Welcome to Make It Plain from Make Plain Jesus Ministries, featuring Pastor James Bryan, where we take biblical truths in everyday situations and break them down to be as plain as possible. So, stay tuned and enjoy the broadcast.
But you hear the conversations, how they view themselves or speak about themselves. And I listen at times like, wow, they're really stepping hard on themselves. They don't even realize it. And then what I find or I see is that they begin to act out, they don't know it, the things they just said about themselves.
Exactly.
And this is like it keeps on going.
Exactly. And an example of this, I'm going to bring up the Bible again,
Sure.
is Peter and Judas.
Uh-huh.
They both sinned.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we talk about, before Jesus died, one of them denied him, one of them sold him for 30 pieces of silver. But the difference is Peter prayed, went back with his fellows, and went on with his life. Judas got stuck up here.
Yeah.
He started putting himself down, got into this whole guilt mind, didn't even use the money,
Right. Right, that's true.
But the guilt is what killed him. But he got stuck. I don't want people to be stuck like that.
Yeah.
When you know better, you do better. If you make a mistake, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's something too. And there are folks, and I'm sure you've come across, and I've come across a few that will literally tell me, I don't make mistakes. And I say, yes, you do. You're a person. No, I don't. I don't make mistakes. And they're serious. And I'm thinking, what kind of filter are you looking through to even look at yourself and think that? So when it is so clear that you're a person, so you have to make mistakes. So what do you do when something doesn't work? Do you totally self-destruct? What are you going to do with that? And I don't know if you have come across folks that seem to have that complex about, I can't make a mistake. Because it just seems to me that they're asking for a major issue.
Right. They want everything to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
But nothing, if you look at the trees, they all have a bend, everything. It's that life, we're humans. We're not perfect.
Right. So let me send this a different direction slightly. Since you do family counseling also, right?
Yes.
So what are you noticing are some of the trends as far as the challenges in relationships between parents and children nowadays?
Nowadays, so it's a different world than how you and I grew up.
Okay, yeah. I can see that. Yeah, I've talked about that recently.
Yes. So I couldn't get a word in with my mom. Yes. But these kids nowadays, they have more of opinions. You know what I'm saying? And when you ask them to do something, it's not like they go immediately to do it.
Right.
To our days. Yes. So, which is okay, which is fine.
It wouldn't have been okay with my parents. Like,
no,
didn't I just tell you? Right.
Yes. And they have a voice.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so, but they also have all these other voices, which is through social media and a variety of other things.
Yeah.
They're living a much stressful life than you and I. I didn't have social media or any of that growing up.
Right.
Yes. So I see children being more consumed with that. Parents just allowing children and teenagers to be on computers forever, not paying attention. As a parent, I suggest you need to pay attention. You also need to pay more attention the older they get up, the older they go, instead of doing hands off.
Right.
My daughter's like, Cuddly, I'm in high school and you're everywhere now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Everywhere I look, you're there. Yes. Also, you have to look at it as I explained to parents, when kids make a mistake, it's okay. You want to be thankful that they make a mistake when they're in your household.
That's a good point.
Then when they're 25.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because this is a teaching moment. And when it's a teaching moment, you need to start off with love.
Right.
I love you. I'm just disappointed in certain amount of actions of X, Y, Z. And then I also feel that whatever consequence you set, you need to stick to it.
Right.
Yeah. Be consistent.
So, and I think those are extremely good points. So are you finding also that from a children's standpoint, they're looking up, and because the parents are hands off, then they're acting differently because they feel like maybe they aren't getting the attention? And do you see more of that happening too?
Yes, yes. And I also see, so for parents who have been somewhat successful in life,
Uh-huh.
they have overgiven their kids too much stuff.
Okay.
They've
Okay.
spoiled them
Right.
completely. Yeah.
Right.
And then they're wondering why the 16-year-old won't even wash dishes or whatever.
Right. And
Yes,
so,
yes,
yeah, and so you get all that in Florida where the weather's great and the water's there, right?
yes,
Oh my goodness.
yes, yes. So it's important for us to realize that we're the first employers.
Okay.
That you're the first employer of your child. So if you want your child to be productive,
Mhm.
yeah, you have to give them responsibilities. You have to give them opportunities to show up, to do
Right.
things. Yeah. But you also have to teach them how to listen,
Mhm.
when to say stuff, because in this world, you can't just say what you feel at the
Right.
drop of a hat,
Right.
especially people of color.
Right. Right.
Right. So you don't want your kid to stuff all that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would teach my kid, hey, if you don't like what I'm saying, go journal it out, write it out.
Right.
And teach his writing skills or whatever.
They're like, writing, why I gotta write? I mean, can't I just go and say something on the computer or whatever? But yeah, you're right. It's something, and this is, again, it's probably just my background. I find that if I have to journal something like you're saying, when I really write it out, it kind of is therapeutic more so than if I'm just typing it out, or it's just something different. I guess it's making me calm down through the process through
Right.
it. So good.
Right. Because your family, your loved ones, and especially your husband and wife, or your husband or wife, you should show the number one customer service to. So if
Right.
you're a business person and you're out there and you're opening the doors and saying, thank you, ma'am, and all that, but then you're going home and you're like slamming doors and what is this and all that, really
Right.
at home, because those people are going to be with you for the rest of your life.
Right.
That's where you need to show the best customer service to
And
your
I
family.
agree so much. And for those that are listening to this, that's a very good point that Dr. April made, because oftentimes we switch around that order and we focus more on it externally, but we don't do as much internally. And we have all at some point in time been guilty of it, and some more so than others, but everybody stepped in that, unfortunately. And we have to make a conscious decision to really just change the whole scope, as she's suggesting, so that we can now begin to cherish and value the ones that will be with us the whole time, as opposed to extending just to everyone else and not doing anything at home. And so you
Right.
want to have some peace when you come home. So this is a way of doing it also.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yes.
And so as you are, I mean, I don't know if there are different factors that kind of have been a red flag issues over the past, I would say 12 to 24 months, meaning that, are you finding more people based on certain economic situations occurring that are coming to you more for counseling and relationships? Is it based on localities you're seeing things, or is it based on ethnicity, or what other types of things that are you seeing based on not only the pandemic, the financial challenges and all, that are pushing people to you? Are there categories that you could identify that you are starting to see that maybe you didn't see before the pandemic?
I think more anxiety, which is something that I specialize in.
Okay.
And that's because anxiety is based out of fear.
Okay.
And if we've been isolated so much that going out, and even to myself, I went to a Bible study recently.
Uh-huh.
And it's my first time out in a while,
Okay.
at a church event or whatever, at a Bible study. And I actually got social anxiety about saying something that I thought I wanted to contribute. And I'm like, wait a minute, April, where is this coming from? We
Right.
talk all day long. And I realized it's because I've been isolated so much. I hadn't been around people. So now me even saying X, Y, or Z,
Right.
you know, in a social thing. And also it's the fear now. I mean, if you look at the news, the fear base of COVID, the fear base of the economics of what's going on, you know, job wise, you know, money wise, it's all fear based. So we're living like, oh my gosh, and we're worrying so much. Thoughts are just going,
right.
You know, or we may have had this plan in 2019 or how our life is supposed to be, even retirement, and all of COVID has changed everything.
Well, it's interesting because you are echoing some things that I've said recently. So if anybody's ever been to our church recently, you'll know that we've talked about it, and I didn't pay her to say these things. But it's really interesting because a lot of folks, and they've gotten better, the folks that I know, both in secular world and everywhere else. But I used to see people walking around totally fearful of everything. And, or if someone even sneezed around just because maybe, you know, a feather went past their nose, then the reaction was horror. And so my whole thing was the folks, stop staring at, I mean, you look at news, but don't live on the news stations.
Right.
Don't live on the social media things that are just alarming because it's impacting the way that your quality of life was supposed to be, but now isn't. And so, you know, it's those types of things, and people were living in fear. And I even saw a lot of people in churches living in fear, right? Those who are pronounced, oh, I won't live in fear. But then I just saw that, you know, I would see it so much. So that is something that I think needs to continually be said from the, I guess, tops of the mountains, if you will.
Right, right. And anxiety can look different. Sometimes anxiety looks like anger.
Okay.
Anytime someone is really, anger is a third emotion, but anytime someone's yelling, screaming, whatever the case, there's something underneath that.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And so how do you peel that back then? Do you let them have the outburst or what have you, and then calmly begin to ask them what's going on? Or do you just calmly give them space, like you said earlier, or what? How do you deal with that?
Yes. So if it's, of course, your child, you want to sit there and be with them and you know, but if it's a partner and they're verbally vomiting, it's not your job to clean it up. I don't want anyone to sit there in that, you know, vomit or whatever.
I haven't heard that terminology. That's cool. I might use that.
And I do tell couples, it's not the other person's job to calm you down.
Right. Okay.
Or to take care of your emotional needs. Sometimes it's best to give that person, let that person, you know, deal with it themselves. When someone is that upset, you let them be. And if you get yourself that upset, it's your job to calm yourself down.
Okay.
Okay. And some ways of calming yourself down, there's a thing called mindfulness.
Okay.
Where mindfulness is being present.
Okay.
Sometimes we get so upset because our mind has been triggered from something in the past.
Right.
But in our real world, we're safe.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yes, yeah. And if you don't feel safe, then you need to get out and figure out where can I find a safe space to figure out what is really going on. Why am I so angry? What am I so hurt about?
Right. Right.
Yeah. And learning how to deal with that and learning how to express that. Crying is, of course, a good way of dealing with that, which is really, you know, helpful. Like we said, journaling, talking it out, but it's sometimes it's actually just spending time with yourself. Many of us don't know how to spend time with ourselves.
Yeah, because I was about to say, what does that mean for folks that are listening? Some people say, I hear that, but I don't know what that means. Can you give some general guidance? Again, I don't want you to tell everything that you would normally speak one-on-one with them, but
right. So spending time for yourself is finding a place, wherever that place is, whether it's your bedroom, or for me, it's usually outside, you know, and sitting there and being fully present, seeing what's around you, feeling what you're feeling, keeping your mind, body, and spirit in that present moment, because that's where psychology wants us. That's where God wants us. Medically, that's where we want to be. And in that, sometimes you really come up with a better understanding of you.
Okay. That's good.
Yes, yeah. If you feel like there are things in your past that you think about and you notice, like if I start thinking about, I don't know, how I grew up, and I notice that my heart starts to race
Mm-hmm.
and I start to sweat, or I'm thinking about a relationship, then that also means that maybe you need to speak with someone, because sometimes that trauma is too much for you to bring up on your own.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Gotcha.
when you start to notice tension in your body, one of the things I do work with couples a lot about is, where do you feel like when you start to get upset? Because when I see couples and they're like, oh, he said this, she says this. Okay, hold on. I say, what does it feel like? And they're like, oh, I said this. I said, no, what does it feel like? Where is it? Do you feel it here? That you feel your heart racing? Is it that your stomach starting to boil?
Uh-huh.
And once you learn where, when you start to get upset, where it is in your body,
Okay.
that's a warning sign.
Right.
That's a sign that, hey, I need to get out and I need to figure what this is.
That's good. That's very good. And
Yes.
I don't think people look at it that way. That's a very good way of looking at it. So, so there are triggers that can be recognized that's about to occur because you're identifying where these things are happening.
Right. And you can sometimes see it in your partner, because I even asked, I said, I go, what does your partner look like? And they always tell me, they says, I don't care what they say, I'm curious what they look like. You know, is their face red? The noistures get like this?
Right.
They rub it, or their sweat starts popping here.
Right.
You know, yeah.
Interesting. Very good. And so you guys that are listening, you should take note of that, because I don't think it's well, I haven't heard people talk about that much, really, about asking specifically, like, what's going on? Where is it? And what are you seeing in your spouse or anyone else about how this is manifesting? And so I think what Dr. April's saying is very insightful, and we should all keep that in mind. Interesting. So if I had to say to you, you know, for people who are, well, let me get this one first, and I'm not sure. I'm sure you can answer this one, and that is, so think about folks that are looking for a relationship and they're coming out of the pandemic, and they're a little bit apprehensive about really being around people, but yet they know they want a relationship, and the anxiety is still there. What do you tell them to do? They don't have a significant other yet, but they would love to have one.
Okay. So 2 things. One thing I ask them to is to write down what exactly they're looking for. Okay. Because I don't believe that when you go to the grocery store and if you go hungry, you know what you're going to pick up. And
Right.
If you don't have a list.
Right.
You're going to pick up junk.
That's good. That's really good. Right.
So create a list, okay? And in creating a list, I should say, start first. You need to pray about it. Talk to God. Create a list with God, and keep it on your phone. Okay, that's very important. So if you want a non-smoker, but you see this cute guy and he smokes, you can't change another person. Let's not even go there.
Right. Right.
Yes. The other thing is, that list most people can do. The other list people have a hard time doing is writing a list of what you bring to the table.
That's true.
I don't know what I bring. Yeah. So then we talk about affirmations, talking with God, saying, God, who am I? What are my qualities? I am.
Right.
Okay. As you have these 2 lists, then it's finding opportunities to go out. Okay. And you can always go and try something once. Like I know people who are like, oh, I've been thinking about this church. I'm thinking about this church. And I said, you can go and church shop. Don't just sit there and just talk about these. Go walk in it. If you don't like it, sorry. If you don't like it, that's okay. Then you find another church.
Right.
But you can't if you don't provide opportunities for God to work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? With doors open.
Right.
Yeah. How can he do his magic?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's part of it. The other part is also being able to go out and be by yourself. Some people, when I say go take yourself out to dinner, they're like, I can't do that. I can't do that by myself. You nuts?
Right.
What are other people going to think?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other most important thing is you should live your life as if you have a partner.
That's good. That's good.
Don't just be sitting there waiting for the partner. So then you go to the beach, then you go hiking, then you go this and that. Because number one, if you just sit there and wait, you're at no motion. You know, the law of inertia, it's going to take a lot to get you off that bench.
Right. Exactly. That's
So
good.
if you love hiking and stuff, start to hike. Go and do those things. You never know, you may meet that person out there doing that same activity.
Very good. Very good. All right. So time's winding down, but let me just give you this opportunity. So if people want to get in contact with you, how do they do that? Talk a little bit about what you're doing so that they know who you are, where you are, and those types of things.
Okay, well, my name's Dr. April Brown. And so the easiest way to get in contact with me is to go through my website, www.drapril, Brown, B-R-O-W-N, just like it's spelled.com. And on there, you find that I have a podcast. It's called Bringing Intimacy Back. So if you want to learn anything about relationships or any of the things that we talked about, you can listen to that. On there, you can also make an appointment for individual counseling, for mental health or couples counseling. I also do retreats. It's called vacation counseling. You can see that where there you do intense. And there's also books where you can find me on Amazon of improving intimacy.
Excellent. So I want to tell you, I've enjoyed this conversation. I really have. And I just want to say thank you very much for taking the time to bless us and gives us some insight on how to handle life and situations. And all of this is what I call very practical, but insightful things that we can actually use. It's one thing that if people give great theories, but you can never put it to work. But what you gave, what I call meat and practical things, people can put to work and use it in their life and have a noticeable change. And that's what this podcast is about, because we want to make sure people have things that they can actually use. Any last things you want to say before we end it for today?
No, I just think now that people are starting to connect with others, touch, it's very important. So if you have a partner, make sure, and your kids, that you give them hugs and loves, because that's really important.
It is very much so. So thank you very much for everything that you gave us today. And I hope you do very well. And hopefully we'll be in touch.
Oh, yes. Thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Have a good one.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh.